Hello all, and welcome to a post-work beer review. Yes, it is. I'm done with work, and I'm going to dub this review the we another near miss review. There's a hurricane that is just kind of passing us by. Well, tomorrow will be just kind of passing us by, and right now, sort of pre-weather. There's it's dead still, no wind. It is muggy and hot and sticky, and yeah, but it's good that there's not going to be a hurricane hitting us. So yeah, it's a great time for this particular beer because it's nice and light and sessionable. Of course, this is Hana, and I'm kind of becoming like the Hana review channel. But I tell you, I'm not even reviewing half of their beers. Like I said, I'm not touching their IPAs or sours. Nothing against them. It's just they're a little bit more expensive, and I don't like them. I don't like those styles as much as like, you know, these like really more sessionable styles. Summer in Hawaii, and I just want sessionable beers. Okay, this is 4.2 ABV, and let's read the back now, shall we? Take it easy. Who else could use a beach day? All week long doing your thing, and it seems like rest is nowhere in sight. Yes, you could use a break. Look no further than this crisp blonde ale to accompany your wine down. Notes of ripe lilikoi and sea breeze will transport you to a comfy beach chair on your ideal shore. You deserve it. The world can be tough. Sometimes you get beer mail from the fam. Other days a tree falls on your head. But you're made hard. Take a break to smell the ocean breeze and crack a cold one. This is, yeah, I'm gonna crack open a cold one. And, yeah, what, I don't know. My ideal beach day involves a time machine because the beach I love to go to the most was developed into expensive housing. Um, yeah, it was a beach a good walk away from like where I lived out in the country when I was young, and it was one of those perfect beaches you would just walk on, and it would be just perfectly flat sand because nobody had been there, because there was like a bit of a forest. You kind of had to like go around, and there were also like these loose dogs in the forest. So generally speaking, you didn't want to go to that beach at the time, but it was just so empty and beautiful, and I hope the wealthy people enjoy that housing development now before it falls into the ocean. Because further up the beach, there's like older houses that are built like 20, 30 years ago that are now falling into the ocean because of erosion. So yeah, boy, I'm in a kind of a wistful mood today, aren't I? Hurricane nostalgia weather. Okay, well, actually, this beer's pretty interesting. I'm going to go to like the Untapped data here. So like they have another thing. Hard work deserves a break. Our blonde is brewed with a German Pilsner malt that cradles classic German hops with our house ale yeast. The smell of ocean breeze and fresh cut flowers are complemented with a clean, crisp flavor. Take a break from the grind or call it a day. So this is like their older, you know, um, description for this beer. And I find it interesting because it uses Pilsner malts and noble hops, but it's made with what is very clearly a ale yeast, and not even like sort of like a transitional one, like an alt beer or Kolsch or something. It is very much, an ale yeast that they used with this. So without much further ado, let's just go and pour this one out, shall we? Okay, so a very pale but bright yellow, nicely carbonated, with a fizzy white head. It's interesting. I definitely get, that wet rock kind of smell that I get from, a lot of Pilsners, you know. The malts they're crackery, but not as dry and crackery as some Pilsners can be. A bit more reminiscent of maybe a Czech style malt than a German one. When you get the nose of the malts of German, it's like very dry, very crackery. This one's maybe a softer cracker. But, you get those floral noble hops, the floral aspects of them, and also maybe a bit more of the spiciness. But there's also just a very strong fruitiness as well, which is very much not a Pilsner smell. So the dominant note there from the bouquet is of a kind of fruitiness. And yeah, slight tropical fruitiness, but it doesn't overpower the other notes. So I can kind of see, I guess for some people, my wet stone note would be more like a sea spray like note. Um, Minerality, I guess, is a better general term for it. That's not quite as evocative, I suppose. But yeah, definitely ale yeast use here. Fruity, kind of estery, you know, but definitely has aspects of the noble hops too, a slight spiciness to it, and floral aspect. Okay, onto the palate now. Yeah, so it's this is why I find this beer really interesting. So what hits me up front is very much like the taste of the Pilsner malts, as well as that sort of um, tamed noble hop bitterness. So not really biting or resiny, but enough there, balance the sweetness. But after that comes the juice. So you're expecting crispness, because like I said, very very much those Pilsner malts are really showing up in the front, both on the palate and in the top note. But when you're expecting that crispness, dryness, kind of floral aspects, no, you kind of get like a sort of um, apple or pear juice. with with even slightly more like tropical overtones there in the top note in the mids. I'm not quite catching lilikoi, but as I said in the description, but you know, with those really fine grained descriptions, secret. Let me let you into a review secret. Your mileage may vary. These sort of reviews are as much poetry as hard science. The finish is not clean, but it is cleaner than, say, a standard pale ale would be, There's sort of a lingering malt note on the palate. Also, that sort of estery top note, just very subtle in the long finish as well. So yeah, is this a blonde ale? I mean, blonde ale for me is kind of like a catch-all sort of category where it's like, like consider an IPA. Well, what do you mean by an IPA? That means a lot of things. I kind of feel the same way about a blonde ale. You know, it's like, well, it's light, it's made with ale yeast, but it doesn't have that sort of stiffer, very defined hoppy note that you associate with golden ale. So it's blonde ale, and you know, that could mean a lot of things. This almost seems like a hybrid style, you know, just in a different way. Instead of like using like um, you know, a slightly different yeast and you know, lagering it, you're using basically a very common lager malt and a lager hops, but creating a um, ale with it, you know, using the ale yeast and basically treating it like an ale. So yeah, as it warms up, more and more of the ale aspects are starting to show. Interesting that I'm kind of getting like my runny nose effect out of this one, and you know, usually this kind light-bodied, not overly hopped beers generally don't, but who knows? Could be the weather too. Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if like I'm the only like beer reviewer on the internet who is kind of allergic to beer? But beer is not the only thing that triggers this sort of reaction in me. And like I said, it seems to come and go. It seems kind of style dependent as well. Either way, I still enjoy beer, and it doesn't seem to have too huge of an effect on my life. I hope. Um, yeah. But yeah, let's go and wrap this one up. Breaktime Blonde Ale. Really interesting beer. Refreshing, light, easy drinking. Almost like a hybrid style in many ways. You know, it's blonde ale, but you know, I'm getting so many lager type notes out of it, and in particular Pilsner type notes. Like I said, that Pilsner Molten Noble hops really shows up there, you know, and then you get that ale yeast. So give this one a shot if that is your jam. And that, folks, is your beer review for tonight. Cheers.